Wellness begins where play, pleasure, and the parasympathetic meet. You were born to be you, and you were born to be well. Your body is always trying to find its way back to health. Now, here is the host of Your Healing Playground with Dr. Tina Coopersmith.
Good morning, my friends, and welcome to the podcast, Your Healing Playground. I am your host, Dr. Tina Coopersmith, your witchy doctor, your change advocate. And we are on the Inspired Choices Network, where our goal is to inspire people to live their best lives. And today is a day where we're going to talk about how to stay peaceful when life gets a little lifey. The morning reminds me of a famous line from Broadway, "The show must go on." In theater, there are understudies waiting in case someone gets sick before the show starts or even in the middle of the show, because the audience is there and everybody, and Broadway runs every day of the week, sometimes twice a day, except I believe Mondays. And other than COVID, it probably never stopped. In medicine, similarly, life doesn't plan for when you have an emergency. As an OBGYN, babies come always seems to be the middle of the night. Emergencies seem to happen 3:33, 6:66, usually right before change of shift at 7 o'clock. Heart attacks seem to happen, not when it's convenient, but when it's inconvenient. That's the reason the ER is open all the time, right? Life never pauses. The only thing constant is change. And energy is always moving. Hurricanes are always happening. Weather is always changing. Global warming is reminding us even that weather is changing. It's more extreme and it's less predictable. And with this information age, with AI and all those kind of things, I would say life is speeding up. And when life speeds up, most of us speed up with it. But our bodies were not designed to go at the speed of the rate of change of society right now. My body goes overdrive faster than most people. My energy is always moving. My brain is always thinking. And my speed of life is just so much faster than a lot of people I hang around. And I'm trying. No, I'm doing, because trying means I'm not doing. I am doing everything in my power in the last few years to recognize that I can live at different speeds, that I can live at my super high charge, fast pace, and I'm allowed to take breaks and to go slower and to just actually exist at a level of being rather than doing, and to find peace in a slower pace, because my nervous system is calibrated to actually feel normal and relaxed at a frenetic pace. And that may not actually be the best pace for all my organs as I get older. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't even know. I just know that I'm learning to play with different speeds. And why am I bringing this up this morning? The reason I'm bringing it up this morning is because this morning, it's Monday morning, and I woke up to my normal Monday morning and for the past year, knowing that my podcast goes on at 8 o'clock, my alarm goes off at 6. I have a routine. I do a breath work. I go for a walk. I self-pleasure. I take a shower. I make my tea and my coffee and I've already prepared for the podcast that is to be done because we have to prepare in advance. And so I have my routine and then at 7:30 I get ready to kind of sit down and get ready for the podcast. Well, this morning somehow my body didn't want to go for a walk. My body I had to prepare for Monday afternoon late last night because I was busy doing other things yesterday. And so I was a little more tired this morning and I calmly and gently said, girlfriend, do your breath work in bed, have a little self pleasure practice, be in your body. You have plenty of time to go for a walk later today. You don't need to hop out of bed in this instant. And so I took life a little different, still with my morning centering practice, still with my belief that self centering, self pleasure, and being peaceful in my body is what is critical, but not the walk. And then I got up, I realized, I need music, that turns me on. So I put music on, I went in my shower, I did my lovely shower routine, cold to hot to cold, my yoga, my stretch. I was starting the Monday in pure pleasure. And I get out to a text, and the text said, what are we doing for your podcast today? And I was like, I don't understand. I have a guest. She's coming on. What's going on? Why am I getting this text? And so I looked quickly in my emails and realized my lovely guest had sent an email yesterday to myself and to my producers saying she's stuck because of travel difficulty and couldn't make it. And the old me would be frazzled. The old me would flagellate myself that I didn't read my emails yesterday and perhaps go into a tizzy. And my underlying me actually said, I just started laughing because life is always being lifey and life is always throwing me curveballs. And I've prepared my whole life for a moment like this because I've done this over and over and over again in the office with patients, in the operating room with patients, with anesthesiologists, with nurses, with my kids. When you have children, you can plan till you're blue in the face, but the child has a temper tantrum, or they get sick, or you're going to work and your kid gets sick, or your babysitter gets sick, and you have to adjust on the fly. And I've been adjusting on the fly my whole life. And I actually think I'm pretty good at it. I actually think it's one of my skill sets of trying to relax my patients when things go off, relaxing my staff when things don't go right, relaxing my coworkers, even relaxing myself when I'm in the OR and things aren't going right and I got to take a step back and take a breath and breathe and get curious of how can I do this case in a slightly different fashion? How can I handle complications or bad outcomes or whatever and stay cool, calm, and collected? And my friends, I invite you that is a skill set that we can all use because staying calm in the middle of the storm is how we can move from, what's going on? And all the signals of survival are being set. Am I going to die in this moment? to when I'm living in, if I'm thinking about death and perseverating on death, I won't be able to get curious about how I can thrive and save the day in this moment. And I realize as I sit here and chat about it, I've I've been doing this my whole life. I've been staying childlike and curious when life gets crazy and solving problems when I need to. The difference, I think, between my prior self and myself right now is I would solve the problem and then spend hours and days beating myself up for how did I get into the problem instead of laughing at life is constantly sending me these challenges, toying with me, reminding me stress is going to show up over and over and over again. And the muscle that meditation has given me and the positive intelligence program and all my coaching programs that medical school prepared me for, but left out a crucial piece. And the piece was stop beating yourself up for the stress and celebrate yourself for staying cool, calm, and collected and finding solutions. And even as I run this podcast, there is a background commentary that my producer provides so I can communicate with my producer as the podcast is running. And my lovely computer is constantly dropping that connection. And when we come back from break, I'm going to discuss communication and how not only is it critical for us as a human to communicate how do I get out of survival mode into thrival mode? How do I manipulate and maneuver my body, my brain from the explosions that life is constantly sending out and maintaining peace in the middle of the storm? And how do we manipulate communication in our own bodies to get out of the storm and back to peace? Because in the center of the hurricane is a peaceful place. But how do we manipulate and communicate between people to maintain peace and understanding, curiosity, and empathy? Because in today's day and age, there's so many ways to communicate. But sending the signal out is not how the communication loop is finished. We must ensure that the other person receives the communication and ideally receives it as it was sent out, closing the loop of communication. So come back as we talk about how the email got sent out yesterday. My guest couldn't make it, and she sent the email, and that was beautiful. Thank you. And thank you to my producers who received the email and held the stress for me overnight, because I didn't receive the information till this morning, an hour before the podcast. And so the communication loop wasn't finished until I received it. And so communication is sending out your signal, but the energy loop isn't finished until we receive it. So let's Come back after break. We're going to take our first break right now, and we're going to talk about communication, both within and between people when we come back from break. Remember, this podcast, Your Healing Playground. I am your host, Dr. Tina Cooper Smith, and we are on the Inspired Choices Network. We'll be right back.
Your Healing Playground is the space where science, spirit, and sensation dance together. Your host, Dr. Tina Cooper Smith, physician, coach, healer, and play advocate, returns weekly to remind you that healing isn't just about pills and protocols. Western medicine is just one of many healing modalities. True wellness is about energy, emotion, pleasure, and play. On this show, Dr. Tina explores the playground of your body, mind, heart, and soul. From neuroscience to sensuality, from root chakra to real talk. She'll share tools, stories, and soulful strategies to shift you out of fear and back into joy. Because if you're alive and breathing, your story is still unwritten, and you deserve to write it with love. Together, you'll learn to breathe, feel, and play your way back to wellness, because you are your best healer.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is Your Healing Playground with Dr. Tina Cooper Smith. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also send an email to info@womensreproduction.com. Now, back to our program.
Welcome back, my friends. You are listening to Your Healing Playground. I am your host, Dr. Tina Cooper Smith. We are on the Inspired Choices Network, and I would love to remind you that I have a best-selling book. It's called Your Healing Playground. It was adapted from this podcast. It is basically a reading way to read my podcast, at least about 11 episodes of it. But I invite you, it is so important that we remember that everyone's healing journey is unique, hence the word your. Everyone, everybody, and I'm going to say that again, everybody, meaning every individual, but more important, the body you live in, your house, your temple, your body was built to be well and has incredible healing capacity, but it needs to be in the right mode to heal. And there are so many ways for you to encourage your body to heal itself, and then playground. When you get your body into a play state, a flow state, a pleasure state, when that what we call parasympathetic nervous system is turned on, rest, digest, relax, reproduce, rejuvenate, resource, re-energize. That is how we do it. And today, when we come back, really wanted to talk about communication. So at another point, maybe later today, I will talk about that nervous system that isn't a nervous system. It's a catalytic converting engine. It literally, I like to call it a catalytic collaborative creator. And when we start playing with our nervous system, collaborating with our nervous system, we can conspire and collaborate and communicate with ourselves and our bodies to allow these bodies to heal. So communication, I said at the break, we were going to talk about communication. This morning was, the show must go on. This is not your regular podcast that is pre-recorded. This is a live show. And I think I chose somehow in my subconscious to do a live show precisely to bring some of my skill set to the world, which is operating under fire, living life in the moment, and knowing that life is always going to get lifey. That was from a friend of mine, a fellow speaker. Oh, and I want to give her credit, and I'm trying to decide if it was Robin. Anyway, whoever was in my incubator with me, Soulful Speakers Incubator, I am shouting you out because life gets lifey. And what I mean is life is always sending us, life, stress. And one of my expressions is that if life was a bank account, stress are the withdrawals. Stress is always going to happen. Things are not going to always go as planned. You can plan on the unexpected. Those unexpected moments have the ability to change how the boat is sitting in water, and it can knock us off balance and get us stressed out. And we need to move back into peace when we're knocked off balance. And the way our bodies are wired, we need 8 positives, they say, to balance 1 negative, because we're wired for survival. And so we're always anticipating stress and challenge. And it's harder to remind ourselves where the roses are blooming. And so my morning practice allowed me to handle this stressful event because I was already at peace with myself, because I had centered myself. I had breath work. I had woken up to I'm alive. And if I'm alive, I'm breathing and I'm okay. And the rest is story. And I can always change my story. And the story is always happening to me that life is throwing me curveballs. So I better learn how to catch them and throw them to second base instead of first base, because I may have missed the play at first base, or throw them to home and make the play at the plate if I was late to the fly ball, or I dropped it, right? And I use these metaphors because baseball is a game of constantly readjusting. Basketball is a game of constant readjusting. If you miss the shot, you better get the rebound. So communication. My guest sent me an email yesterday. And so she took communication into her own hands. I cannot make the podcast because travel and life got in her way, and she knew she would not be able to make it to today's commitment. And I commend her for sending out the email. My producer, my showrunners got the email. I had taken basically a digital day off. It was Sunday, and I was not checking email. And so I didn't get the email. In today's day and age, we have email, we have text, we have WhatsApp. And email, I have work email, I have home email, I have email from one medical practice, email from another medical practice. I have email for my podcast. I have email for promotions and spam and other stuff. Like, I have gazillion emails. I have one phone number but different text threads that come in, and it's overwhelming. And I am not the only human that has all these different avenues of connection. We used to have a home phone and that was it. And you got a busy signal if you were on the phone. And then along came, you had a recording machine on your home phone. And then there was cell phones and voicemail. And then text showed up and email showed up. And I remember when all these forms of communication came on board, when I went to the office, my phone was put in my consult room or turned off when I was with patients. Because to me, when I'm with a patient, I need to be 100% fully present with that patient. When I'm on a podcast with you, I am fully present to this podcast and my community who might be listening. I put away my distractions. I put away my notifications. I put away my phone. And the joke in my household was mom is not available. She doesn't answer emergency texts or emails. And I was like, if it's an emergency, you need to call a staff member who can get me in an emergency, because my attention needs to be where I am in that present moment. And my friends, when you send out a communication to somebody, you need to make sure it lands. And so I commend my guest for sending out the communication. And I thank my producers for holding my stress overnight, because they got the communication, but they did not know whether I got the communication. And until we get the thank you, I received this, that communication, that energy is out in the void. And when you are communicating with anybody, with your partner, your patient, your client, the mind is full with unfinished communications, which leads to rumination, which leads to what's going to be, which leads to dis-ease in your body, because you don't know the energy. It's like the energy is, the electron has been excited, but it hasn't yet moved from point A from point B. It is radioactive because it literally is holding excess energy that needs to be discharged. And if it's in your body and it's excited, it needs a place to land. And that's why we have anxiety, because we have excited molecules that haven't yet landed back down into a peaceful state. And so anxiety is actually energy, radioactive, it's charged electrons that need a place to go. And so my producers were holding this charge. My guest had sent out the charge, but it hadn't landed in my body yet. And so my producers were holding this excess charge. Now, frequently, I'm the anxious person holding the charge. I'm holding the charge for everybody else. And what I'm learning in my body is, how can I hold this charge and stay grounded, right? I need to take the charge and move it somewhere in my body and get back to a peaceful state. And so, my friends, learning how to take this excess energy and hold it and ground yourself, get back to a place of peace, not be in the hurricane and the winds being whipped around, but going to a grounded place is how we move the energy and stay grounded. And when communications are sent out, please try and make sure that somebody receives it so you can be grounded, or park it. And so you'll know you'll handle it in the morning and you can go to sleep grounded, knowing that the other person will handle it in the morning. And when you ground yourself regularly, you have the capacity to hold the electric charge and ground yourself. And on that note, we'll take another break and just think about energy as this stress, as this charged energy that we need to ground back into our bodies, plug back in to handle. And we're always doing this. So communication is sending out the charge. Receiving it is grounding yourself and taking in the communication. Let's go for our next break. I hope this makes sense. I'll repeat it again when we come back. You are listening to Your Healing Playground. I am your host, Dr. Tina Coopersmith, and we are on the Inspired Choices Network.
Your Healing Playground is the space where science, spirit, and sensation dance together. Your host, Dr. Tina Coopersmith, physician, coach, healer, and play advocate, returns weekly to remind you that healing isn't just about pills and protocols. Western medicine is just one of many healing modalities. True wellness is about energy, emotion, pleasure, and play. On this show, Dr. Tina explores the playground of your body, mind, heart, and soul. From neuroscience to sensuality, from root chakra to real talk. She'll share tools, stories, and soulful strategies to shift you out of fear and back into joy. Because if you're alive and breathing, your story is still unwritten, and you deserve to write it with love. Together, you'll learn to breathe, feel, and play your way back to wellness, because you are your best healer.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is Your Healing Playground with Dr. Tina Coopersmith. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also send an email to info@womensreproduction.com. Now, back to our program.
Welcome back, my friends. You are listening to Your Healing Playground. I am Dr. Tina Coopersmith, and we are on the Inspired Choices Network. Please follow me at Dr. Tina Plays, where you can find out about coaching programs, doctor programs, and retreats that hopefully will be happening. I will plan them for this coming year. And let's get back to what we were talking about today, which is communication and closing loops and staying in a peaceful place when life is being lifey. And I'm reminded that life is always knocking us off our center. And the yin and yang of life is exactly to help us understand that the only thing constant is change. And when we flow with life, then the body can relax and go with the flow. And when we try and be really, really rigid in life and see a separation between good and bad, that's when life short circuits, to be perfectly honest. The yin and the yang is described, it's ancient wisdom. And it's, we see life in dual terms. There's light and there's dark. There's yin energy, which is the dark energy, and there's yang energy, which is the light energy. And when we are awake and doing and lit up and the sun is shining, we feel, and many of us call it our positive flow, our positive energy, the positive pole. But the yin energy is the dark energy. It's the cooking and the what's under the surface. It's if we don't sleep and we live in yang energy, we might actually go crazy. If we have a machine that is running 24/7 without a rest, it will probably run out of charge. Even so, it runs out of charge if you have a battery. We all know that. But what about the electric circuits themselves, the AC and the things that are plugged in? Think about in heat wave when it's so hot in a city and they're running air conditioning all the time. All of a sudden, the electric currents get overloaded and there are power outages. Everything, my friends, needs downtime. And so communication is, we're in communication overload right now, right? With all the information, email, text, phone, in-person events. And so we all need yang energy and yin energy. And if you look at yin and yang, first of all, it's not, the yin and yang sign is not a straight line in the middle. It's a flowy sign because we're always flowing between yin and yang. And the center of the dark energy is actually yang energy. It's a circle of white. And in the center of the white, the yang energy is a circle of the dark. Because if you want to flow and have lots of on energy, you need to prioritize downtime. And me checking out of emails and texts yesterday was critical to my body to responding to today's morning events. And when you're sleeping and you are restoring and repairing, you're actually plugging in to a deeper flow state. A lot of times we solve crises and problems when we check out, when we are in our down state. It's when the light turns on. I remember hearing an interview years ago from a creator, innovator, a writer, and she had bouts of depression in her life. And she said, I wouldn't give them up. It's where my creativity comes from. And mathematicians often say when they're not focused on the problem, it's when the answer shows up. Einstein talked, I just heard this yesterday. Einstein would go fishing and he would fish without bait, and he was a terrible fisherman and he couldn't catch anything because he was fishing without bait, because it was the repetitive motion of sitting and throwing the line into the water and reeling it in and just really letting his mind check out when the mind actually was solving problems. And so The seed germinates underground in the dark. It's taking in energy in the darkness, in the quiet, in the winter. And then once it stores enough energy and it sends out communication threads to the environment, is it safe for me to germinate? Is winter turning into spring and I can germinate, send out roots to then come up from the soil into yang energy into the spring? And we are no different. We need times to go inward, to meditate, to do nothing, to breathe, to just be present in our bodies, to move from survival mode. Oh my God, life is happening and I don't know, and I don't have the answers for it. The key is not pushing harder to get the answers. The key is accepting the problem with grace and ease and breath and relaxation and just like, yep, this is my life. This literally is my life. Life is giving me dis-ease, stress, challenges. And the only way out is to accept the challenge with ease and grace and recognize that the darkest moment of my life might give me the energy, the light to shine more beautifully on the other side. I try and teach this to my fertility patients all the time. They're struggling with, I don't want to have a challenge in getting pregnant. I'm fighting it. I'm angry about it. I'm mad at it. I'm just going to fight harder and fight harder and fight harder. And they're missing their life when they're ruminating on fighting it. They have to accept it. This is your life right now. Somehow that the choices you made have led you to this point in time right now. And fighting it doesn't change your life. Fighting it perhaps makes it harder to accept it. And when we accept that we don't know the future, the past is here, but the future is unknown, we can accept that I don't know if this infertile thing is good for me or bad for me. It just is a part of me. And so if it is a part of me, can I be at peace with how I'm living my life in this instant today? Can I have gratitude that there are Band-Aid solutions like inseminations, fertility drugs, IVF? Can I accept that I made choices that led me here, and therefore I can make new choices that might help me accept this day today, and maybe this challenge, this obstacle, this will be my greatest challenge, and it will lead me to an entire new world that I don't know is on the other side. And a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, maybe I will have some level of gratitude for what I'm going through today. There are studies over and over again when people are asked, would you trade in the horrific obstacle that was put in your way? And to a T, everybody says no. It literally molded me to make me who I am today. And so I would not change my life. Even Christopher Reeves, who was paralyzed from the neck down, when asked, do you wish it hadn't happened? I don't want to, I'm paraphrasing and I'm probably going to get it wrong. I'm sure a piece of him wished it hadn't happened, but a piece of him recognized that his finest, most important impact on the planet was made not as Superman flying through the air on a screen as a pretend Superman, but he made an impact because he became Superman in real life, because he lived a life battling the most serious challenge that anyone probably could face on the planet. And so, my friends, when faced with a challenge, that's the yin. Go inward and accept, I don't know if this is good or bad. It is time for my break. I've overspoken. Let's meditate on your challenge. And the challenge, is it good? Yes. Is it bad? Yes. The challenge just is. So we'll take our break and come right back and talk about challenges.
Your Healing Playground is the space where science, spirit, and sensation dance together. Your host, Dr. Tina Coopersmith, physician, coach, healer, and play advocate, returns weekly to remind you that healing isn't just about pills and protocols. Western medicine is just one of many healing modalities. True wellness is about energy, emotion, pleasure, and play. On this show, Dr. Tina explores the playground of your body, mind, heart, and soul. From neuroscience to sensuality, from root chakra to real talk. She'll share tools, stories, and soulful strategies to shift you out of fear and back into joy. Because if you're alive and breathing, your story is still unwritten, and you deserve to write it with love. Together, you'll learn to breathe, feel, and play your way back to wellness, because you are your best healer. This is Your Healing Playground with Dr. Tina Coopersmith. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also send an email to info@womensreproduction.com. Now, back to our program.
Welcome back, my friends. You are listening to Your Healing Playground. I am your host, Dr. Tina Coopersmith, and we are on the Inspired Choices Network. If you like this podcast, please support me. Give it a 5-star review on Spotify and Apple Tunes and share it with your friends. And today's episode was really The Show Must Go On. And I'd like to summarize what I was trying to say in all my rantings and chats. Number one, I chose to do a live podcast, a live show, not a podcast. And I think I chose that so I can teach staying peaceful when life throws you curveballs. The Broadway show, The Show Must Go On. How can I stay grounded when energy is elevated and needs to land? And the key is being in your body, out of your brain. You can't solve problems with the survivor child going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. We need to get grounded in our bodies, relaxed, to find the curiosity, the empathy, and the compassion to innovate, navigate, and be present to life, because life is always going to have a curveball. Life is always going to have stress. So number one, how to maintain peace, get out of your brain, into your body, into being now. Number two, remember the show must go on. Your life is always happening. So when you feel anxious, get back in your body and out of your brain. And remember, you can do this. You've done it to date. You can do it now. Ground yourself. If you need to, go to earth and to nature or to breath and just ground yourself. Number two, communication. Remember that the mind gets full and overloaded and anxious when communications aren't finished. We have so many ways to communicate today. So number one, if you're sending out a communication, make sure it lands and lands in the right inbox to the right person at the right time. Follow up because they may not have received your communication. Ask for clarification. Brene Brown calls it the SFD, the silly first draft. I send out a communication, the other person receives it. Did they receive it in the way I had intended? The story I'm telling myself is A, B, and C. What do I have right? What do I have wrong? Because closing the loop, making sure that what you said got interpreted correctly. Otherwise, anxiety happens, arguments happen, peace is destroyed. So close the energy loop by making sure someone received your communication and received it as you intended. And apologize if they received it incorrectly. I'm sorry that you feel this way. Acknowledge how they felt and then make repair, restorative justice. How can I make your anxiety less, your emotions different? This is what I meant. And finally, yin and yang. Recognize life is always happening. We don't know if it's happening, if it's good or bad, because good is bad, bad is good, and life is always happening for you if you choose to see it as life is neutral. It's just happening. So I get to create it, and I get to create it as being for me. I was raised on fairy tales. There's a victim, an obstacle, and I need a rescuer to close that triangle. I don't like that triangle. I gift you a new triangle. I am a fabulous creator of my reality. Every obstacle is a challenge, and all I need is a coach celebrating me. I got this. You got this. You can rise to the challenge by being creative, by allowing whatever is to be is. Isness just is. It's up to you to create the story. And please create the story of how this is good for you. My friend yesterday had a snafu in her event, and it brought her three sisters together to work in harmony. They hadn't done that in years. Her snafu created an even better event and an even better family communication. My snafu today hopefully improves my ability to communicate with my publicist, my guests in the future, and hopefully this podcast is still a good enough episode. It is good enough for me today. I am always good enough. I'm not listening to my child inside that said I'm not good enough. I am good enough for today, and so are you, my friends. We are all good enough.
If you felt something move today, a molecule, a mindset, or your mood, that's healing. Your body listens to your stories, your thoughts, your breath. So speak to yourself with kindness, play with curiosity, and let your nervous system know it's safe to rest. Dr. Tina returns Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 Central, 9 Mountain, 8 Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Remember, pleasure is a practice and play is your medicine.